Hello, gamers. What up? hello. How you doing? How we feeling? Um, how are you guys? I'm doing. Who the fuck texted me? This just started. This stream just started, and people are already fucking bothering me. How fucking disrespectful can you get? Do you like it when my voice is right here? Can you guys hear me better like this? I noticed that last stream I had uh I've had kind of I've had kind of a weird noise thing going on. Um which is had kind of I've had kind of a weird. Yep, there you go. Okay, this sounds better. I had a weird noise thing going on. Forgive me. That was because I need to figure out how gain and all this stuff works. I'm very much a noob to that stuff, but hey, I can learn anything. I'm very smart, and that's yeah, okay. It's the beginning of stream being like, hello, just reminder that the stream is beginning. Um, yeah. Anyway, so what's up? Let me just put in chat that I'm so excited to see you guys. Noise thing going on. Let me just close that and just. Hello. Hello. Please chat. 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 Not chart. Chat. We are nice here. Here. So yeah, we had a weird kind of noise thing happening because I just turned up the gain too much on my microphone, so it sounded insane. But I think I fixed it. It sounds fine. So I am in a great mood right now because what are we doing today? Wonderful question. Ask I you. So today we are trying to learn Blender. Now, have I tried to learn Blender before? Perchance. I have put in, I have tried to do some Blender stuff. I was never really like, it's. Sorry, I'm also like doing my emotional regulation thing. Um, oh, that looks ugly. Okay. 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 So I'm also, let me figure out my thing. So how am I feeling right now? Irritable, jealous. Am I feeling jittery? Maybe I'm livid. Maybe I'm nauseous. Maybe I'm nervous. Overwhelmed. Maybe I'm pressured. Maybe I'm repulsed. Maybe I'm restless. Am I rushed? Am I scorned? Spiteful. Stressed, tense, terrified, triggered, taken aback. Uncertain, unstable, upset, vengeful, worried. I don't know if any of this kind of describe how I feel. No. Oh my god. Oh my god. Fear. Empathetic, ashamed, avoidant. Barefit. Bleh, blue. This is E. I'm gonna say burned out. I don't know. Maybe I'm burned out. Guys, how do we feel? How are we feeling as a group? As a squad? Why is Blender opened here? Blender shouldn't be opened here. Oh, fuck. Did I have to... I guess I'll have to do... Sorry, I'm, like, trying to figure out... Wait, up here. How everything works. Okay, so... And how did I feel? Blender. Blender? Do I have Blender? Blender. By myself, because there's no one in chat besides me. Oh. Home. Okay. Blender. Because I can. Okay. Streaming and learning Blender because I can. Okay. What amount of sleep? I had like 8 hours. That was a good sleep. Exercise, 1 hour. Okay. Safe. So, what are we doing, squad? So, today we are, as mentioned before, we are learning how to Blender. The thing about that is that I've learned how to Blender before. It was... You know what? It wasn't necessarily something that I've went too deep in. I've had some, like, bit of some experience and stuff. Bit of a learning curve. A bit of a learning curve for me. Because... Truly, I have never, like, I've done some stuff. I've modeled, let me show you, actually. Let me show you guys my screen. Where, kind of, how do I, live scene, transition. Here's Blender. We got Blender. We can, oh. There you go, this way. I knew that. Wish you could. Can you Control Z on Can you Control Z on Blender? Control Z. Strange. This is our cube. We got Blender. So let me show you my history with Blender. I've done some stuff in it, nothing big, but it was mostly just dicking around and nothing too serious. But I think I want to learn how to use Blender so that I can, like, put it in my resume, just to say that I can. Where is it? There we go. Okay. So first I have. Let me show it to you. Oh, do I not have the cubes anymore? Oh my lord, where did the cubes go? The cubes are gone. The cubes have disappeared, my dear friends. How deeply unfortunate. Okay, well, I have this guy. Let me bring it for you. There he is. There he is. 3D modeled the shit out of this guy. Because I was just like, I don't know what, you know. It's great, huh? Okay, so there's the cube. So I'm gonna be fully transparent. I'm following a tutorial by the Blender Guru and seeing how, you know, Ooh. Ooh. Oh my god. What is this? What is this? Oh, it's like a note. I see. Control Z. There you go. We can... Cursor, set the cursor location, drag to transform. Do I need to connect? Out of smooth. Okay, so let's see. We're gonna speed up this guy real quick so that I can go through it quite fast. I'm gonna listen to him converse, and then I'm gonna try to do what he's doing.
Come to the wonderful world of 3D. First tip, do not get overwhelmed. If you go clicking
Do
around,
not get
you might
overwhelmed,
find lots of buttons and some of them with very scary names. And
I don't know, can you guys... Wait, can you guys hear? Because I'm pretty sure... Go through it quite fast. I'm gonna listen to him converse, and then I'm gonna try to do what he's doing.
Come to the wonderful world of 3D. First tip, do not get overwhelmed. If you go clicking
around,
you might find...
you guys. Okay, I need to, yeah, so you can hear him. That's sick and awesome and great. We're gonna... I just want to double check when he talks.
Very quickly. The thing you need to know is Blender can do a lot of things, which means it has a lot of tools, but you don't need to know every tool in order to do what you want to do. If you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, there's really only 20% of Blender's features that you end up using 80% of the time. And that's what I'm planning to teach you in this tutorial series. So stay with me and you should be fine. We'll start making the donut in the next video. In this one, we're just going to look at the interface, and I'm going to show you some of the basic navigation. So for starters, this view, this window right here, is your 3D viewport, and it's where you'll spend probably 90% of your time, because it is the 3D world. So you can see that we have three objects here. We've got a camera, we've got a cube, and we've got a lamp. And when we click on it, you can see it's selected because it has the yellow outline. So let's delete the default cube, of course, and replace it with something else. So we can do that by going up to the add menu up here, or by remembering the hotkey, which is...
We have... What do we have? We have... the lamp. We can move it around. Oh. Good. We have a camera. We have a lamp. I have this thing here. I don't know who she is. She just appeared. Can I make her disappear? Can I make her go? No. This is not Photoshop. This is not how it works. Okay. Remember, guys, we have a camera, we have a cube, and we have a lamp. What did he say after that?
Shift A. So Shift A.
Let me make the audio a little louder.
World. So you can see that we have three objects here. We've got a camera, we've got a cube, and we've got a lamp.
Camera,
and when
cube,
we click
lamp.
on it, you can see it's selected because it has the yellow outline. So let's delete the default cube, of course, and replace it with some...
We're gonna delete the cube. Oh, fuck. Fuck. We're deleting the cube.
else. So we could do that by going up to the add menu up here, or by remembering the hotkey, which is Shift A. So Shift A for add. So usually the one you...
How do you delete the cube? Sir.
Has the yellow outline. So let's delete the default cube, of course, and replace it with something else. So
how do... Girl. Oh, just X. Okay, there's... Okay. Okay. So we can just... You can delete X. Delete selected object. Okay, period. We learned. We are so... Guys, our brains are expanding as we're sitting here. We're gonna fucking crush this. Okay. Is it fun watching me meander? I don't know. Good. We have... You can delete X. Delete selected object. Okay, Is it fun to watch me meander, you guys? I don't know. Is my... I just want to double check. Am I... Yeah. I think the output is good. Yeah, sorry, I'm just double checking the resolution on my stream because I don't want you guys to get fucking fuzzy ass. I don't need the resolution for me to be really high because fucking whatever, make it look like a potato is cool. Cause good. Is my silence me? Okay. Because I don't want you guys to get fucking fuzzy ass. Okay, so I double checked. It's good. We're good. I don't think I can do 100 whatever p. To be fair, can I say something? When it's like fucking 5K resolution, I'm like, that's too much. I don't need to see every single pore on a person's face. It's cool. We're good. Like, what are we doing? Okay, so
we could do that by going up to the add menu up here, or by remembering the hotkey, which is Shift A. So Shift A.
Shift A. We got Shift A. Okay, period. What do we got?
For add. So usually the one you're looking for is underneath mesh. So these are called your primitives, and it's what you use to start something when you're looking to make an object. Like if you're going to make a chair, you might start with a cylinder as the chair leg and then build out from there. But the one I'm sure you're all very curious, you want to click it, it's the monkey. So let's just click the monkey. Why does Blender have a monkey? Well, fun fact, every 3D software has its own little random complex object because it's useful to test things like shaders or complexities of scenes. So 3ds Max has the Utah teapot, Houdini has the toy, and I think Pig's head. Blender has the monkey. And it's actually called the Suzanne monkey head, which you can see in the top left there, named after the orangutan from the film Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. Random piece of trivia. So let's get a better look at it. And to that we need...
That's how you know that these motherfuckers are nerds. when you think of these like people who create Blender and stuff, you know that they're nerds because they're like why not make it monkey? They're like monkey forever. Which, like, kind of love, though. Like, gotta say. Kind of love. Where's the fucking vertical line? Put it at the center of the universe. Perfectly at the center. Monkey go monkey mode. I love the little infinite just... Okay, period. Got it.
To orbit, which you can do by on your mouse there, your scroll wheel, that is called your middle mouse button. If you push that in and then drag around, that is now orbiting.
Spin.
For my laptop users, you've just panicked because you realize you don't have a mouse. How are you going to orbit around? First of all, probably a good idea to get a mouse for 3D work. It will come in handy. But in a pinch, you can get by without it just by up here in the top right-hand corner, this little gray circle, anywhere in the gray section. If you just left-click, drag on that, that will do the exact same thing. Or if you want, you can go to Edit Preferences, and then underneath Input, there's Emulate 3-button mouse. And that means that if you hold down Alt and then left-click, drag, that will do the exact same thing. Also, whilst you are in User Preferences, you might want to go to Interface, and you've got Resolution Scale. If you're on a 4K monitor, you might find that your menus and buttons are really small, and you kind of have to like squint in to see it. So personally, I like to keep my 4K monitor around about 1.5. Since this is a tutorial, I'll make it nice and big so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so
where did they find that?
Exact same thing. Also, whilst you are in User Preferences, you might want to go to
User Preferences. Okay.
And you've got, and then left-click Preferences, and then left-click, drag on that. That will do the exact same thing. Or if you want, you can go to Edit Preferences, and then underneath Input.
Okay, Edit Preferences, Interface. Oh, one. Can I fucking... So I can scale it up. Whoa. That's big. Oh, and I can just make it go real small. Real big. Whoa. Just gonna go with the I think the regular one. Just slightly bigger maybe. One. Such a bizarre way of like 0.5. That's big. That's too big. 1.05. I like that. It's nice. I don't have to strain my eye. Maybe that's still a little big. Maybe it's just one. You know? Maybe just a classic one. Maybe I jumped the shark.
There's emulate 3-button mouse, and that means that if you're interface and you've got resolution scale. If you're on a 4K monitor, you might find that your menus and buttons are really small and you kind of have to like squint in to see it. So personally, I like to keep my 4K monitor around about 1.5. Since this is a tutorial, I'll make it nice and big so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's orbiting around with the middle mouse button. If we want to zoom in, we can do that just by scrolling in and out. We could also do it by going up to the magnifying glass tool there, and then just left-click dragging and then moving the mouse back and forth. That does the same thing. Or you could hold down Control and then middle mouse button, and that will do a smooth zoom as well. Okay, so one thing you might notice looking at this is that it's not very pretty, right? It's just kind of got this flat, bland, gray lighting over everything. And that's because this state right now is called viewport shading. And it's kind of a lightweight, optimized way to view the scene, just as you're building it. But if you want to create a final pretty image, that's called rendering. And you can actually switch into rendered mode by going up here into the top right-hand corner. You can see we're currently in the viewport shading mode. If we go 2 across, you should see rendered view mode. So if we click that.
Render wireframe. Rendered. Oh. Hello? Did I do something wrong? did I do something wrong? Let me look a little closer. Good. Oh. I think she loaded.
Your computer might stall for a quick second whilst it loads it in. You can see it's now different. We have directional light. We have shadow cast across the monkey. So it's now currently being lit by this lamp up here. So if I wanted to, zoom in on that lamp there and just kind of like move it around, you can see it's kind of hard to focus on. Like it's always exactly not in the right view. And that's because we are centered on our monkey right now. We need to change the focus. We need to pan to something else. So we could do that one of 2 ways. One, if you're on a laptop, you could use the little move tool there. That will do that. Or everyone else, shift middle mouse click, drag, that will do the same thing. So middle mouse is for orbiting, shift middle mouse is for pan to change your view to something else. Okay, so I want to move my light because it's too moody. I want to be able to see the monkey's face there. So to move an object, you could do it one of 2 ways. One, you could go over to the left-hand corner here and you've got the move tool. When you click that, you can see that the selected object, the lamp, has this this gizmo, it's called, with these axes on it. And if I just clicked and dragged on any of those arrows there, you can see I can move it along any of those axes. I can also just click on that white circle there, and that will just freehand drag it depending on my view. But it's kind of tedious. Every time you want to move something, you have to like go to that tool and then find the arrows and yada yada. So actually most people in Blender prefer to use the hotkey. So we just keep it in the default selection state here, and instead remember the hotkey, which is G for grab. Now, I've just tapped the key, and you'll notice as I move my cursor that it's now attached to my cursor. My cursor isn't even actually close to it. In fact, my cursor could be on the other side of the screen, and I could tap G, and it will move it. And at first, this is kind of awkward. You're like, why is it working this way? But once you get used to it, you realize it's actually handy, because you don't have to spend all this time like navigating your cursor to something just so that you can move it. Your cursor could be over here, and then just tap it, and you're moving it. So whilst you're in this move state, if you want to cancel a movement, you can do it one of 2 ways. You could just hit escape, or you could right-click. Then if you want to confirm a movement, like say I want to move my lamp here, and I like the movement, I could just do a single left-click. So again, if I want to cancel something, just right-click. If I want to confirm the movement, left-click. But let's say I wanted to move it along an axis, like, I like these arrows here and I want to be able to move it on just a specific axis. Well, I can do that whilst I'm in that grab state as well. So after I've hit the G key to grab it, I can then tap the letter of the axis that I want to move it on. So if you don't know, in the real world and in the 3D software, there are 3 axes because there's 3 dimensions. There's the X axis, which I can move by hitting the X key, the Y axis to move it back and forth along the Y axis with the Y key, or the Z axis to move it up and down on the Z axis. So you can remember those letters, the X, Y, and Z, or the method that I actually prefer to use is whilst you're in that G state, if you just hold down the middle mouse button and then pull out, you can see you get this like gray line that pulls out from the center. And then if you just drag out and move around, it will snap it to the nearest axis, which again is maybe an odd way to work, but it's actually really handy because it means you don't have to think of the letter and locate it on your keyboard. I can just tap G to move it and then middle mouse drag out and then just find that exact axis that I'm looking for. And so it's very fast to just quickly move the lamp exactly where I want it. By the way, if you're finding it hard to remember all of the keyboard shortcuts that I've mentioned, I've actually put together a PDF, a cheat sheet of Blender.
There's a cheat sheet, guys. Blender. No, Blender. Keyboard shortcut sheet. You girl. What is this?
This Blender shader will blow your mind. It makes the object transparent and opaque at the same time. It's easy to set it up. Add the new material and change the blend mode to alpha clip to make the transparency work later. Go to the shading tab and delete this. Add an emission which adds color to the object. Add a transparent shader which makes it see-through. Mix them and we should tell Blender to make the outside faces transparent and the inside faces opaque. There's a node for that. It's called geometry node and its back-facing socket distinguishes between the outside and inside faces. So when you plug that into the factor, magic transparency goes brrrr. This Blender shader will blow your mind.
Okay.
This
Sorry,
is Blender. Open source
girl.
interface, and you've got resolution scale. If you're on a 4K monitor, you might find that your menu
panning,
middle mouse click, drag, that will do the same thing. So middle mouse is for orbiting, shift middle mouse is for pan to change your view to some left click. So again, if I want to cancel something, just right click. If I want to confirm the movement, left click.
Okay.
I can just tap G to move it and then middle mouse drag out and then just find that exact axis that I'm looking for. And so it's very fast. You just quickly move the lamp exactly
you have
where
a
I
cheat
want it.
sheet,
By the way,
you
if you find it
guys.
hard to remember all of the keyboard shortcuts that I've mentioned, I've actually put together a PDF, a cheat sheet of Blender's most common hotkeys, and you can download that by clicking the link in the description, so you could print it out or you could just have it on a separate monitor while you work. Also, if you are from another 3D software package, you might notice that Blender's hotkeys are different than what you are used to. So if you actually go
The
to
amount of
preferences,
people, it's
just
so
for those
funny.
people that
I
are
just
from
like opened the I opened the like little PDF of that the Blender Guru has made, and in the corner you can see the amount of people who are watching it, and it's like who are currently looking at it, and it's fucking 39 viewers, I think, including me. Everybody be looking at this. That's so wonderful. That's beautiful. That's community.
other softwares. If you change the key map to industry compatible, you'll find that these shortcuts are probably more in line with what you remember from other software. I'll also put a link to a cheat sheet that is just for the industry compatible key maps that somebody else put together. I've got nothing to do with it, but I'll put that link there so you can check it out as well. For the rest of this tutorial,
Industry compatible. Industry compatible keyboard cheat sheet. Industry compatible. Oh. Yeah, that's just the regular cheat sheet. Yeah, okay. I see. And there's the industry compatible one if you use. Yeah, Treehouse Ninjas. How fun. Maya, Houdini, 3D. That's the thing. I'd want to learn something like Maya and Houdini and stuff like that as well. I think the issue with that is that they cost a fuck ton of money. Like, you have to have, or either you pirate them, which you would never pirate the program, or you suffer through all that shit. So I would,
tutorial series, I'm going to use Blender's hotkeys. Just keep that in mind. Now, let's say, as I am moving around here, I'm like, oh, this looks really good. I've got some nice Rembrandt lighting across the monkey's face. I want to take a photo. I want to take a nice, pretty image of this and post it on socials for clout, right? Well, I could take a screenshot of it, but that would be silly because it's got all these lines all over. It's all noisy, right? We don't like it. The way you take a photo, a pretty image in Blender, is to do a render. So you could do that one of two ways, by going up to render and hitting render image, or remembering the hotkey, which says next to it F12. So when you do that, a little window will pop up. It will use your CPU or GPU, depending on which render you've got active, and it will render out a pretty image. And from here, you could go image and then save as, and it'll save it as a PNG or wherever you want to save it. But you might notice looking at this, that this is actually a different view than what we have here, right? So here I've got a nice view of the monkey's face, but there is a different view. And the reason for that is when you do a render, it's not rendering from the view that you're looking at currently. It's always going to render from the point of view of the camera. So this is our camera over here, and it's looking from this angle. And we can actually look through the camera by just clicking the little camera icon there, or by remembering the hotkey, which is number pad 0. So how do we move the camera? Well, Blender's a little awkward, maybe a little different to other software packages, but you're supposed to like
I don't have a
G
number
to
pad.
move it, and then like
I don't have a number pad on my thing. It was like number pad 0. I was like, I don't have a fucking number pad.
middle mouse to zoom in and out, and then if you want to like move it along an axis, I guess G and then X. You could do that, but actually what a lot of users prefer, especially those from other software packages, is if you've got your camera selected, which by the way, I haven't mentioned this, but up here, this is your outliner. It's kind of an inventory of every item that you've got in your scene. Okay, so with the camera there selected, if I hit N, N is to bring up the properties, N for properties for whatever reason, and then go to view. There's a little box there that just says lock to camera to view. So now, with that active, if I just use the same keyboard shortcuts as before, middle mouse button to orbit around, shift middle mouse to drag it, you can see that the camera is moving with it. So essentially the view before middle to camera to view. And then go to, if I hit N, N is to bring up the
Oh my god.
properties, N for properties for whatever reason, and then go to view.
There's view. There's animation. What? View.
There's a little box there that just says lock to camera to view. So
Lock to camera to view. Okay. How do I make it go away? Thanks.
So now, with that active, if I just use the same keyboard shortcuts as before, middle mouse button to orbit around, shift middle mouse to drag it, you can see that the camera is moving with it. So essentially,
Oh, okay. Okay. How fun. How queer.
essentially the view, I can set it up exactly as I want, then hit N again, and then I can disable that. And then now as I pull out, you can see the camera will stay exactly where it was, and I could do a lovely, pretty render. But this is too simple. If we post this on the internet, people are bound to make fun of us.
And then you go view, untoggle this, and then you just go back to your regular, and the camera's over here. The camera thing is so interesting to me. So you can get it attached, so you can basically set up a shot of however you want it to be. That's cool. Okay. That's cool.
Imagine that. Well, we could give it some color, right? So with our monkey head selected, we can go over here to the properties. So this property section is where you might spend the other, I don't know, another 5 to 8%, I don't know, getting too exact there. You might spend another 5% of your time in this section, but it's where all of the properties for things are in Blender. So for example, you've got like the render properties, like the size of the image that you're saving something as is defined there. And some of these properties will stay here no matter what is selected, but others are
What did you say?
image that you're saving something as.
Oh, okay. Samples, viewpoint, samples, okay, shadows advanced. Ray tracing motion, okay, cool.
Is defined there. And some of these properties will stay here no matter what is selected, but others are selection dependent. So you can see, actually, if I click the camera there, you can see I get a little camera tab at the bottom there. But if I select my monkey, you'll see the camera tab disappears. But instead, I have some other ones that appear. So one that we might want to change is underneath material. And this will enable us to add a material.
Select monkey. Go monkey mode. Collection world. Material. Aha.
Change the color to something else, essentially. So underneath here, where it's got new, I'm just going to hit new. And then you've got a bunch of options, very confusing. Ooh, IOR, subsurface. Again, don't worry about it. We'll get to all of that later on. The one that defines the color is else, essentially. So underneath here, where it's got new, I'm just going to hit new. And then you've got...
Nope. Oop. Oopsies. Oh, oopsies. Let's touch my computer. Let's see how warm it is. Oh, it's not that warm. Give it a second. She's loading. Okay. We are streaming and we're like... She's... Ooh. Okay. I didn't... Okay, so if I just... Just new. Okay. Okay. I see.
But a bunch of options, very confusing. Ooh, IOR, subsurface. Again, don't worry about it. We'll get to all of that later on. The one that defines the color is the base color. So if I do a single left click on that white box there, I can then change this color to whatever I want. I could make it an odd, creepy, skin-toned monkey head, right?
Oh.
Like that. And do a render. Okay, so hey, all right, it's better, but still it's too simple. I think people will think we haven't put enough effort into this masterpiece. So let's add another object. Let's give the monkey a hat. So if we want to add another object, how do we do it?
Make a monkey go purple. I think I Okay. Okay, what's the... It was what? It was G. And it was, Y, X, Z, maybe? So G and then Y, for example. And then G and then X. And then maybe G and then Z. And G and then Y. Okay. I see. Okay.
Well, we could go to the add menu, like I mentioned before, or the hotkey Shift A. So what sort of hat do we want to add? We could do a boxy hat. Let's do a party hat with a cone. So once we've added that object, you can see it's just plopped it straight in the center, intersect.
What was it again?
Or the hotkey Shift A. So what sort of hat do we want to...
Right, Shift A. Shift. Monkey. Currently going monkey mode. Let's go Shift A. Surface. Mesh. Okay. UV sphere, icosphere, circle, cylinder, cone. Oh. Hello.
Add, we could do a boxy hat. Let's do a party hat with a cone.
Party hat.
So once we've added that object, you can see it's just plopped it straight in the center, intersecting our monkey. So we need to move it. We can move it, and we could grab it with the G key. So it's now moving it just on our cursor there. I don't want to move it just freehand though, because I like the position, but I just want to move it up. So I'm going to hit Z to move it along the Z axis. Right, I like it there. So once I like the placement, I'm just going to do a single left click. Okay, great. But too big. See?
Okay. I need to move away from the monkey a little bit. So, G, Y. Plop it right there. G, X. Maybe a little bit like that. Where are we? Okay. G, X. G, Y. Maybe just GX, just a little more. GY. No? There you go. GZ. And then GY. No, GX. Slightly like that. Yeah. I mean, big party hat.
We need to learn another tool, which is scale. So we could go to the scale tool there, and then we get this familiar little axes there. But again, most people prefer to remember the hotkey, which for scale is just S. So S to scale. So resizing that. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's move it down again. So G and Z. Okay. All right. But yeah, let's say one.
I like this. Big, small. Oh, oh. You can invert the party hat? That's so fun. Okay, okay. We're gonna make a small party hat, right? And we're gonna GZ. Just GZ. Right. I like the tiny party hat.
I want to make it a little taller. Okay, so we could scale it along just the Z axis. So S and then Z. Whoops. S, Z. There we go. And it's now making it a tall party hat.
Ooh. Oh. SZ. No, we pick the monkey. S Z. He can be a fucking wizard. Oh my god. GZ. You see, I'm getting there. My brain.
Scale it down. There we go. Ha! Look at that. You're a very bland party if it's grey. Let's give it another material. An exciting color. A vibrant aqua color. Why not? Give that a render by hitting F12. Okay. Camera is in the wrong position, so let's go to camera view mode with number pad 0. I'm going to select my camera, and rather than dabbling with that little thing I had before, I'm going to hit G, and then middle mouse, just tap it once. As I said, it's a little awkward. Blender's the way it handles with the camera, but anyway, just
Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay, and yeah, camera mode. Okay. Okay. View, camera to view. We can just. Okay. Control. Monkey.
move that out, and then I got to rotate it. All right, so I'm going to rotate. So with the camera selected, tap R, then middle mouse, and it's now kind of like freehand rotating around.
Okay.
So I'll just move it up slightly. There we go. Okay. This is just a fool around session, so don't worry if you're making mistakes. We'll get to actual practical building stuff in the next part. I'm just trying to find ways to throw in these like fundamental tools. Rotate, right? The monkey's head is just, he needs to look dead on at the camera, and currently he's off. Ah, what an excuse to use the rotate tool. So you could enable the rotate tool, right? The familiar axes there. You could click and rotate it around like that. Again, most people prefer to remember the hotkey, which is R to rotate, right? So it's now just freehand rotating on my cursor. Remember the axes, as I mentioned before, can be used for any mode. So the X axis will rotate it back and forth. The Y axis, tilt it, or Z, there we go, to turn it towards the camera. Just a little bit, right? And there you go.
Wait. So it's, right. It's R. No, I select monkey and I go R. Woo. Which one is it? X. No. Y. Monkey. No, it's Z. No, I think it's X. Hey monkey, how are you feeling? Are you feeling good? Yeah. Hell yeah. Just putting up a little bit so that, he's tilting. Okay.
There you go, F12. And we've done it. Let's save it. Let's upload it to ArtStation.
Let's see. And then you hit just F12. Girl, what the fuck was that? We press F12. Oh my god. Our monkey man. Oh, that's so funny. It shows up so different on my computer, the colors, than versus my tablet. Can I? Oh, there it is. Okay. Just trying to... just because you guys don't need to see what's happening on my... And where do I save it? Okay. Image... Oh. Save as... Right here. Okay, come on. Save as desktop. I'm gonna say monkey mode. Monkey mode. What the heck? Save as image. What are we doing? We're doing PNG. I love PNG. RGBA. Can we not do... I wonder if you can find a mode that you can do a CMYK, because that's the color. Nope. What the fuck? Okay, because that's the color that I use the most. That's the color palette. Well, I use the most. That's the color palette that I do use. The only one. It's the only one that looks good in print. Oh my god. It's my actually advice to people who are learning Photoshop stuff. If you're planning on printing any of your work ever, CMYK is your king. This image. Okay, let's close that. Let's take a look at our desktop. Where's it? Oh. Hell yeah. Going monkey mode. Hell yeah. Going monkey mode in Blender. Hell yeah. Kitty. Doing a little thing for my, taking a little picky peek for my, should I have, escape. Okay. Did I accidentally closed Opera? That's so me coded. Just closing the Opera. Okay, that's going monkey mode. That's so fun. Oh my god.
Wicked for good.
Oh, shut up. Okay. Let me post this on, actually post my little selfie on. Okay. Ooh, okay. We're cute. Okay, so we're gonna. This is so interesting. I don't, it's something about learning Blender is on one hand, like, it drives you insane, but also there's something compelling about link, YouTube, yeah, it's on my Instagram. Hello? The heck just happened? Where's my monkey? What happened? Okay, here. Just flip this. Going monkey mode. Well, learning Blender on stream. I think it's important for I hope. Okay, going back to Blender stream. Question. Save. But also link. I've copied and pasted this fucking link to YouTube so many times at this point. It's crazy. My story. Is it posting? Guys, it's almost posted. Sorry, there's a fluff on my microphone. Hope you guys don't mind it. I did bring the microphone closer to me. I hope the sound is better because I feel like I'm always like really quiet on stream. On my story. Okay, yeah, it sounds better. I hope also. Okay, it did post. Yippee! So yeah, I hope the sound is a little better. It's kind of hard to figure out sound when you don't know shit about sound. So, listen, I know many things. Not sound. Don't know sound like that. Her, sound, me and her, we you know, we friends, but we not friends like that, you know what I mean? Okay, so let's continue our thing. Yeah.
We'll prefer to remember the hotkey, which is R to rotate, right? So it's now just freehand rotating on my cursor. Remember the axes, as I mentioned before, can be used for endgoats. More core features of Blender. Get ready for part 2. Just wait for the recruiters, essentially. All right, let's start a new scene so that we can get ready for part 2, where we're going to actually start building our donut and learning some of the more core features of Blender. So click here.
Okay. Blender basics.
Now we know how Blender functions. Let's start building that donut. So, as before,
building the donut.
first of all, just to repeat.
Let's do the building of the donut. Me and the boys when we build the donut. Okay, so we got this guy done. Hello. Hi. Hi. Sorry. I need to stop. I just think it's so fun to have a microphone in front of me where I can be just like, welcome to my ASMR. Or whatever the fuck they do. I don't know what they do in ASMR shit. People who like have things with people with like mouth noises or have quit this chat. Quit the stream already and will never be seen again. Do you like this? Do you like this sound? Wait, let me listen to this sound actually. Wait, hold up. Wait, where is it? Hello? Stream already and will never be seen again. Do you like this? Do you like this nice sound? Wait, let me listen to this sound actually. Wait, hold up. Do you like this? Quit people will. I just think it's so fun to have a microphone in front of me where I can be just like, welcome to my ASMR. Will like sound. Do you like this? Do you like this sound? Wait, let me listen to this sound. Yeah, sorry, you had to hear me in a little echo weirdo thing, but this is fun. Anyway, I just have my stream playing because I can hear it and so I can pretend that somebody's watching besides me. Listen. Anyway, what is this stream actually? I like started it. Wait. Edit your stream title and description. Yeah, well, I guess that's right, huh? Update. Change the category of it. Can I not change the category of my sting? Oh my god. Welcome to ASMR. Okay, so. How do we file new general? Don't save. Okay, cool. We started a new scene. We have officially started a new scene, everybody.
Pete, make sure you're working.
We're moving up in the world.
Completely new scene. Don't want any remaining monkey heads lying around. Let's begin a fresh slate and let's delete our default cube just with the delete key and let's replace it with a new object. You might remember the hotkey for that is
delete X. Yes.
Shift A. And as I mentioned before, you usually want
Shift A.
What is underneath mesh because these are your primitives. So we want to start with something that most resembles what it is we're building. If it was a house, you might start with a cube. If it was a vase, you might start with a cylinder. In our case, we want the donut-shaped one. Although mathematicians call it a torus for some reason.
Torus.
So let's add that. Now, if I zoom in by scrolling up, we can see we have something resembling a donut. It looks like a pretty weak-looking donut, you know, very flimsy. Looks like the donut before it's cooked when they just drop it into the vat and it's just this little wispy thing. So, immediately after you do some actions in Blender, you have options to change it. And the options are hidden down here in the bottom left-hand corner. You see a little box, and if you click that box, you see options. And look, we can change the dimensions of our torus. Now, something to note is that these options in Blender only appear immediately after you have done that action. If you do another action, like say deselect your torus by mistake, it's gone, right? Because Blender has assumed you have moved on. You've accepted the state of your donut, and this is the one.
Okay. Oh. So I can... I think there's a fat donut. So you can like literally just increase and decrease the amount of faces that you have. Kind of at will, I think, for... Okay.
One you want, right? Now, if you haven't done anything drastic or changed this object in some severe way, you can temporarily bring it back by hitting F9. I never actually remember that hotkey. I just remember that immediately after I have added an object, if I want to tweak it, now's my chance before I move on to something else. Okay. So we could change, you know, the size of it here. We can also change the resolution. I'll use the term resolution loosely. To make it higher or lower.
The amount
fidelity.
of faces.
And a mistake that a lot of beginners make, and I say this because this was the exact mistake I made way back in 2003 when I started learning Blender, is they go, well, I need a realistic looking donut, so I guess I need to go really high resolution. I remember my first project, one of my first projects was for a high school film project, and I wanted to have a close-up of a face. Didn't realize faces were going to be difficult, but I went really high poly, and then it was just an absolute nightmare to work with. So the reason you don't want this is that, for starters, things that are high poly are very slow to render, and they're very hard to work with if you want to tweak the shape of it. But also, as you learn and you grow with 3D, you'll discover that it is a lot easier to add resolution to something later on, but it's very difficult to take it away if you've already built it into it and you don't need it. So, long way to say, what we actually want is to have as few polys, these are called polys, as you can get away with. So I'm going to go with 32 major and 12 minor. And don't worry that it looks all jagged, because we will fix that in a moment. Now, the major and minor, this is really up to you, but I find that something that looks it's kind of chunky, like a fat donut, just looks really delicious. So I'm going with something around about this size, okay? And once I'm happy with this, once I'm ready to click off, I click off, the options are gone, and this is it.
Okay, that's very interesting, actually. The fact that it's easier to add faces later than remove faces later, because I'm a 2D artist, primarily. I'm a 2D artist primarily, so we kind of have it works literally the opposite like that, right? Where it's easier to make something big immediately than like adding bigness later. So that's very interesting. That's very interesting to me. We're probably gonna go through the entire thing for our tutorial, but not tonight, I think. Because that's like a long thing. But we are gonna definitely go like maybe a couple of streams. We're gonna do it because I do genuinely want to go through the entire tutorial.
Is the donut? It's kind of chunky, like a fat donut. Just looks really delicious. So I'm going with something around about this size.
A nice thick
and
fat
once I'm happy
donut.
with this, once I'm ready to click off, I click off. The options are gone.
Okay, we click off. The options are gone. Cool.
And this is it. This is the donut that I am now working with. So how do we make this look higher resolution, less jagged? Well, one way is to use smooth shading. So if you right-click with your object selected, go to Shade Smooth. And look at that. This is immediate.
Right-click, Shade Smooth. Oh, pick donut, right-click, Shade Smooth. Donut! My round girl.
Immediately better. Without getting too technical, this is kind of a fakery. It's sort of like the shader is telling the renderer that this is a really high poly dense mesh when it really isn't. It's just basically kind of like averaging out faces. And anyway, it's very technical, but basically it's not going to add anything to your render time, but it's going to look smoother. And so this is generally what you want for something that is smooth and organic looking. Like if you were rendering like architectural or like hard surfaces, like later on we're going to put this on a counter, then the object would obviously want to be flat. But in our case, we're just going to use Shade Smooth. But you might notice that looking at this, especially if you go side on, that you've got this sort of jagged shape around here, right? So the silhouette is really breaking that illusion that this is a high poly or a smooth looking donut. But thankfully, rather than adding all of that complex density into the mesh itself and then making it hard to remove later on, there's another way through modifiers. So if we go over here to our properties, right, this very confusing, lots of option looking properties, click on the wrench, and this is the section called modifiers. And this is one of those object-dependent things. So if you've got your camera selected, you won't see it. So it's only when you've got actual meshes that you might see this modifier here. So it's much easier to explain if we just add one. So up here, add modifier, and you've got a range of options here that can do a whole number of things. The one that we're looking for is underneath generate, and it is called subdivision surface. And it is a really common modifier that you use all the time. In fact, it's so common, it's actually, you can just immediately add it to any object just by hitting Control 1. But don't do that because we've already got it, so there. Now, some of you might have just discovered that your donut has disappeared. If that is the case, you need to go to Edit, Preferences, and then underneath Viewport, where it's got Subdivision at the very bottom, Disable GPU Subdivision.
My donut is perfectly alive. Look how delicious and round this donut is.
Or not performing whenever, but
I don't need this.
And it should appear. But if it's already working for you, don't disable it. Keep it going because GPU will be faster. So what exactly is this doing? Well, it's a lot easier to explain if we look at the shade flat mode, because we're not being tricked by the smooth shading there. If I set this levels viewport to 0, this is our original mesh. This is before we add the subsurface, essentially. When we increase this, you can see that it is adding resolution to our mesh. And the more I increase this viewport levels here, the finer and finer that detail becomes. So to explain, because this is such a very
shade flat. Okay, so you... Okay. So you can truly fuck your donut up. This is what the actual donut looks like.
Very common modifier. It's kind of important to understand how it's working. You can see that this is these squares here. These are called faces, by the way. And for each one of these faces here, as I add a level, you can see it's becoming 4 faces, right? And then now, if I zoomed in on this one face here, if I do another level, that's now become 4 faces. And then if I zoom in again,
so
it's
like
now become 4 faces. So it's
exponentially
exponentially adding detail. And you might also know that it is smoothing it out as well. Like this jagged edge that we've got here, you can see now becomes smoother. So to quickly visualize that, if I just draw, like imagine you've got like a 90-degree corner, right, like this. If you add a subsurf modifier, what it's going to do is it's going to add a point here, right, because this is the extra detail. It's also going to take that point there and it's going to average it out. It's going to average it out between these points. And it's going to create another one there, another one there. So you go then from having that really hard corner there to having something that looks a lot smoother. So it's going to take a point and it's also going to change it to make it look smoother, generally speaking. So there we go. So now as I increase this, you can see it's getting smoother and smoother. Now, the reason there are 2 options here, you've got levels viewport and levels render. So reminder, this gray area that we operate in is called our viewport. The render is the pretty version. So as an example, you can see if I just turned it off for the viewport, it looks very jagged. But then for my render, if I increase that to 3, if I do my render, which you got there, and render image, or remember the hotkey, F12, you can see that that donut is now smooth, but I go back and you can see it's jagged. So the viewport, you want to generally keep it lightweight, and then the render time, that's where you want to get a really nice looking pretty image. So you want to often have 2 different levels. In our case though, I don't really think we need to go beyond 1, even for our final pretty image, because this with shade smoothing turned on is good enough. And we're going to be adding more to the scene later on, so we don't want to make it too complex. So this is actually pretty good. Okay, so we have a perfect donut. And that's the problem. It's too perfect. You could spend decades trying to develop a machine in the real world that made a donut this perfect, and you never would. This is so mathematically precise that the eye will always see this as looking fake. So that's actually a problem you learn pretty quickly in 3D, that things that are too perfect just look fake. So you have to spend time making things look misshapen and adding variation there like you see in the real world because your eye expects to see it. So how do we do that? How do we make this donut look a little more lumpy and interesting? I do that by changing the mesh itself. So this mode that we are in right now, where we can, click on different objects, is called object mode. And I know that because in the top left-hand corner, you can see we are in object mode. But if I click the drop-down, you can see I get a number of other options here. And these options, again, will change depending on the object you've got selected. If I've got a lamp, my little light there selected, you can see I've only got object mode. A camera, I've only got object mode. But a mesh will give you extra options.
Okay.
So let's enter into...
Before we run away, let me just delete this real quickly. So we have... let me just, okay. Because I want to be thorough with my delete, right? We're deleting the donut. We do, is it Control Shift A, period, mesh, torus. I'm a torus, you're a torus. We don't need too many segments. We're going to go 3212. Size can be adjusted if I want to. Let's go, boop. Like that. It's a fat, like a fat little donut. Minor, location, generate UV. Yay, operation presents. Okay, cool. Then, right click, shade, smooth. So now we have softness. Then we can, we're in this thing, we can go modifiers, add a modifier, and then it's going to be generate. So we have edit, generate, deform, armature. That's interesting. Normal physics. Oh, you can do cloth. Oh, that's so interesting. I like that. This is nice. This is interesting. Norfolk soft body. Okay. Generate, and then we're gonna go. No, not bevel. Decimate, curve to tube, mask, mirror, multi-type. Subdivision surface. Right, and then we can have none. Okay, so we're just gonna add. Oh, well, let's go 1 and 1, just because the tutorial asks us to. Okay, so we got that. We got it on lock.
Edit mode. Ooh. Right. Now, you can see our mesh.
Which one do you want?
So let's enter into edit mode. Ooh. Right.
Object.
Now, you can see our mesh, our object has become something that looks weird. It's got a bunch of little points on it with lines and very technical. Well, that's because this is actually what the mesh is made up of. These little points here, which you can click on just by selecting, are called your vertices. The singular term is called vertex. I never say that. I like to just call all of them vertices, regardless of whether it's 1 or 2, just because you always get some comments that go, actually, it's called vertex if it is singular. Anyway, so these are called your vertices. And if you have 2 of them joined by a line, that is called an edge. And if you have 4 of them forming a face, then it's called a face. So with these, I can quickly change the shape of my object by using the same hotkeys as before. And if I want to move this, then I would simply tap G, right? And you can see it's now attached to my cursor. And then if I want to confirm its movement, I just do a single left click, and there it is. Now, if I go back into object mode, like that, you can see that my mesh has changed, okay? And by the way, the hotkey for jumping in and out of object and edit mode is just tab. Okay, so you can see it's just toggling between those 2 modes because it's so common that you want to just quickly change things that it's just easily accessible by that. Now, this is okay, right? But you can see it's got like some artifacting. It's not the greatest lump, right? So how do we make it look a little more natural? Well, I mean, you could, you move one, drag it out, okay, click, and then I move, the next one next to it, right? I'll move that out, and then I'll move this one out a little bit, and then I move this one out. And it's like, okay, well, now I've got the thing, but it took me like 5 actions. Ridiculous, right? No one wants to do that. No one's got time for that. Thankfully, there is a tool in Blender just for this, and it's called proportional editing, and you can enable it up there in your toolbar. So if you enable that, now if I hit G and I move it out, you will see I get a little ring around my cursor there. In Blender just for this, and it's called proportional editing, and you can enable it up there in your toolbar.
Proportional editing, got her.
So if you enable that, now if I hit G and I move it out, you will see I get a little ring around my cursor there, and that is now changing the mesh around it. Now, a lot of people in my previous tutorials were like, I don't see what's going on. You have to have something selected first, and then when you hit G, you will see that little circle of influence. Okay, now this circle of influence, if I scroll up, you can see it's shrinking its circle of influence. And if I scroll down, it is expanding its influence. So it's only going to affect what is in that ring there, okay? If you are on, if you don't have a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can also change the influence by using page up and page down. And if you don't have page up or page down because you're on a Mac keyboard, then what you would have to do is go to Keymap and then change your page up and page down to something else, just so that you could get around that. But guys, you gotta get a mouse. Get a mouse with a scroll wheel. I think they're, 50 cents or just in the nearest landfill somewhere. Get a mouse because it's gonna make your life infinite.
Okay, this is such a funny thing to tell people because I'm like, who the fuck doesn't have a mouse at this point of time? If you don't have a mouse, what the fuck are you doing with your life, man? How do you not have a mouse? You mousy bastard.
A lot easier. Okay, so with this, I can now make quick work of lumpy shapes, okay? So I just drag that out, okay? I've got a little lumpy shape there. Maybe I go down here, and I pull this up just by hitting G, moving it up, okay? So already, this is looking a little more natural, right?
Right, okay, so we just kind of fuck up the donut. Okay, period. I like that. It's just sculpting. I can sculpt. Sculpting? I know her. Been there, done that. Got the promotion, you know how it is. G. You know, just. My things a little too. Just a slightly. Like, you know, slightly lopsided, a little weird. Yep. Girl. G. Z. Slightly, not too much, actually. Okay. Kind of want to maybe, like, so we have a bit of a pop there, so maybe select a guy right there. G, and that's a y-axis. Subtly. Natural. And if you go to just object mode, now we have a little lumpy little guy. That's my bestie right here. Okay. Edit. Sick.
Because even if we were making a stylized world for a Pixar movie or something like that, you can't have just a spherical looking donut, sorry, spherical, round looking circular donut, because it just, your eye will see it as fake. So very quickly, I'm able to add a little bit of variation to the donut, just all around it, just a little bit over here. And you can see that I am just changing my circle of influence depending on what size of a lump I want to make. So I just want to make like a little bit that sticks out. I can make a small circle just by scrolling up like that. You just want to do that until you get something that looks a little more natural. I might want to make the inner part as well. We just drag that in with a smaller circle, and that's pretty good. Let's just have a look from the top. I might actually just drag that out, make it a little bit more like that. But there you go. That's pretty good for a donut. It's still kind of simple. It's not too detailed, but it's got just enough variation in it that it's more interesting to look at. Oh, one more thing, forgot to mention. Go back into edit mode with tab. Donuts, when they're sitting in the little vat thing, right, they're only like half submerged, then they have to be flipped.
Bro became a donut scientist. Man is a donut scientist.
But it means that the bit that's nearest to the surface is getting less heat. So essentially what I'm saying is the bit that's around the donut, the circumference of it, is usually a little bit flatter. So donuts aren't like perfectly round all the way around. They're usually a little bit flatter. So what I want to do is I want to select these vertices along here, and then I want to shrink them. Now I could go around one by one like this, which is actually what I used to do when I was learning Blender pre-YouTube days, and there was no tutorials. What I would do this if I wanted to select this. That's silly, because there's a function, a tool for that, and it is edge select. So if you hold down Alt on your keyboard and then do a single left click on not the points, but on the edge, like this little line here, you can see it's selected all the way around. So it's anything that's connected along that line is now selected.
Oh! So Alt, line. Oh! That's magic.
So if I want to shrink this, right, what would I do? Well, I mean, yeah, you could like move it around, right? We want to shrink it. We want to change the scale of it. So we would use the hotkey S for scale. So S, and I'm going to scale that in. And I actually don't want proportional editing, so I'm going to turn that off and now scale in.
So,
and just make it a little bit flatter. And there you go. See, it just feels a little bit more natural, doesn't it? It looks a little bit closer to what a donut looks like. And by the way, don't worry if yours doesn't look exactly like this, like your lump is a little bit off. Like some people get a little bit too precious with the tutorial. They're going to match exactly everything I do. Like I'm just working on the fly as well. So just make what you think looks good. If you think this is not misshapen enough and you want to add more, go for it, because it might actually turn out better than what mine is. Now, before we move to the next part, how to save. How to save. Blender, very, very easy. You just go save as, and you just get one file. It's called .blend. Very literal file extension. Really pushing the limits of what a file extension can be. That's almost a word, Blender. Anyway, how to save. Blender, very, very easy. You just go save as, and you just get one file. It's called .blend.
File. Save as, .blend.
Very literal file extension. Really pushing the limits of what a file extension can be. That's almost a word, Blender. Anyway, .blend, and that's it. And then next time you open it up, it's exactly like it. It's not like a ZBrush where you got...
Okay. No, .blend. Donut time. Okay. Let's do art. Just art stuff. This folder is gonna be fucking gigantic by the time I'm...
You got like 4 or 5 different ways to save a project or an object or a tool or a... Hate ZBrush. Okay.
Man hates
now, also finally, I
ZBrush.
would say, if you need help, because I know if you're stuck and then you leave a YouTube comment, you might not get a reply. If you want immediate help, I've got a Discord, so I'll put the link below. So there's like a little channel in there where you can just ask for specific donut help. So if you're having issues, feel free to jump into that. And also, guys, don't beat yourself up. Like 3D is definitely has like a steep-ish learning curve. So you're in that steep slope right now, and it's really common. Like a lot of this stuff is very foreign. 3D is very unique. It's very different to a lot of 2D tools. But don't give up. Like it's definitely achievable to learn and self-learn at home. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to pay.
Okay. Okay. So we got our base donut. That's so fun. So we're gonna abandon this donut just so we can have just to myself, I want to repeat it. So we're going to go to object mode. We're going to shift A, mesh, torus, whatever these surfaces. We don't need to get too many surfaces. We have those. Okay, let me hit a good old G, Y, because I want to. Oh wow, that's so interesting. You look at the cursor, it pops out on the other side. That's pretty cool. Very useful. GUI. Then we're gonna right click. Shade smooth. We're gonna go here, add a modifier, generate subdivision surface levels. Yep. Okay, then we got our perfect little donut. Then we're gonna go edit mode. We're gonna make sure to turn on proportional editing for the donut to look nice and human. And we're just gonna, G, like fuck up our little donut. We're gonna go G on the x-axis. Fuck up our, fuck up donut. G on the x-axis again. We're gonna G on the y-axis. This is fun, guys. Learning things is great and fun and super exciting. The G on the z-axis and make it just a little higher. I'm gonna go G on the y-axis. I'm gonna go with G on the z-axis. Oh, girl, what the fuck happened there? G. Z-axis. I think I might have clicked something by accident. A little bit. Let's fuck up this side as well. G on the z-axis, going lower. And we're gonna, G on a little bit on the x-axis. But then G a little bit on the y-axis as well. Right. And then we're gonna is it middle? What did he say it was again?
For a tutor, it's so if you're having it, you easy to what Good. Precious with the tutorial. Going to match exact. And by the way, a bit flatter. And there you go. See, it just feels a little bit more natural, doesn't it? Looks. And now scale in. Or scale. So move it around, right? Is now edge. Like this little line. You hold down Alt on your keyboard and then do a single left click on not the points.
Right. But if you click on the points, I assume it's going to select all the... So, if you click... We're just gonna... And then we're gonna press S. Oop. Make it a little fucky. Make it down just a little... Bump. There you go, our fucked up little donut. Y-axis. Oh, what? It's Y-axis. We're gonna put the donut on top of the donut. And we're gonna S. Can make it slightly bigger, why not? R? Yes. Okay, we rotate it a little bit, and then we G. Yeah, on the Z axis, particularly. Rotate a little more, maybe. And then we G. Just like that. Right? Right? Is it not giving donuts being stacked? Okay, here's a hot take though. Wouldn't this be because it's like right here, right? It could be slightly squished, I think, because it's like not crazy, but like slightly squished, you know? So it would be this donut. Like it would be like somewhere here. And then it'd be like G just a little bit. And then maybe even like would like fall a little down. Yeah, that might have been too much. Right? Okay, and then I go object mode again, and then we go R, because I feel like we've gotten a little too. And then we go G, Z axis. Right. Is it not giving donut, you guys? But R still just a little more rotate, and then G just Z. There you go, something like that. Is it not giving 2 donuts stacked? This is fun. I'm enjoying this. I am enjoying this.
Did you guys know that Blender 4.0 had a change that makes it more realistic by default? Or that there's a new technology that is going to expand the uses for 3D exponentially? Well, you would if you were on my free newsletter called This Week in 3D. It's an email from me once a week with 3 to 5 things that I found interesting that week from the world of 3D. So sometimes I share a new tool that I found, a remarkable tutorial, a new Blender feature, a news story that affects the industry. So click the link in the description, enter your email address, and then you will stay up to date on the world of 3D. It's always free and it's always written. Now,
you know what?
tutorial. Welcome back to the Donut Show.
I'm gonna keep that because, oh my god, the Donut Chronicles. Oh, I'm so sleepy and tired. Oh my god. Okay. Okay.
Sad little donuts that we cannot eat. This is where we finished up at the end of part 1. We've got our nice looking donut, and now we're going to make that icing, which looks complex, but is actually fairly simple. Now, as I mentioned before, if you want to add an object, you go Shift A, right? And then you start with something that resembles what you're trying to create. But we already have something that resembles the exact shape we want to create. It's the donut, because we want the icing around the donut. So let's just reuse this information. So we can do that by duplicating the object. And if you don't know the hotkey for it, you could just go Object, and then you find it here, where it says Shift D. So Shift D. Now, when you hit that, you are in a placement state, essentially. Like, it's duplicated, and it's now saying, where do you want to place it? Now, in our case, and actually often, you don't actually want to change its placement. You want to duplicate it exactly where it was. So you can cancel the movement by hitting Escape or right-clicking. Now, when you do that, it looks like it's canceled the duplication, but you can see in your outliner, it has duplicated it. You've got 2 objects, but it's just in the exact same place, which is what we want. So first things first, we need to name them, or else we could get very confused very easily. So you can name an object by just double-clicking it in the outliner, and then just typing in the object. The other way you can name something, I'll just show you the second way. If you select the Taurus 0.001, that's your icing object. If you're in the 3D view, where your cursor, is over the 3D viewport, if you hit F2, that's another very quick way that you can name something without having to go up to the outliner to find your object. So with our icing object selected, let's go into edit mode by hitting Tab. So we want the icing on the top, which means this bottom half of our mesh here is redundant. Don't need it.
Okay. I made a... Sorry. Goodbye, the other donut. We're gonna delete you. Ooh, this guy got a little quite fucked up, huh? Well, it had not donut laying on it. That's why he's a little fucked up. And that's okay. Doesn't make him any less or any, you know. Don't ice. Okay.
So we want to delete it. So if we just dragged over the bottom here, you can see it looks like we've selected the bottom half of our donut, but if you were to move around, you would say, oh, we haven't actually. It's only selected, annoyingly, what is facing the camera. Where there's a mesh, it's not gone through the mesh. A lot of users find this annoying. I agree. Sometimes it seems like that would be the more default one that would make more sense, but anyway, don't want to argue. So if you want to select through a mesh, you can go up to here in your top navigation, toggle X-ray. If you turn that on, it's going to enable you to see through the mesh.
Toggle X-ray. Toggle X-ray. Oh.
And now, when I drag over it, you can see that I have selected all through the mesh as I move around it. By the way, you might find it like when you're in this state, it's kind of hard to select, like it's easy to kind of accidentally select what is above it, and depending on what you've got at your end, that might have happened already. So another way to easily just look directly on the side-on of your donut is to just click one of these, like in your gizmo here, instead of just dragging around, just do a single click on either the green one or the red one, the X or the Y. And now we're in that state. You can see it's flattened it, so it's put you in orthographic mode, which actually you can toggle to at any time, just over there, which just makes it easier to just do a single, all the way through the mesh, select. All right. Okay. All right. So we want to delete that. So just hit the delete key. You get an extra option here of what you want to delete: edges, faces. You want the vertices. That's everything. And now we have, if we go back to object mode, and then let's turn off toggle X-ray as well, and you can see it's working. You got half the donut on top of itself, but as you move around, you can see you get some flickering.
What?
Now this flickering happens, and it's actually a very common.
No. No. Okay. Jesus Christ. My donuts. My don. Duplicate object. Okay. Oh. Just like that. Done ice. Okay, object mode, edit mode. Bottom half, let's double check that we got everything that we need. Okay, just backspace, delete key. He says delete key like, aha! I see.
It's actually a good warning sign to you. You move around, you can see you get some flickering. Now, this flickering happened. You go back to option here of what you want to delete, edges, faces. You want the vertices, that's everything. And now we have, if we go back to object mode, and then let's turn off toggle X-ray as well. And you can see it's working. You got half the donut on top of itself, but as you move around, you can see you get some flickering. Now, this flickering happens, and it's actually a very common, it's actually a good warning sign to you as an artist, because it means you've got faces on top of faces, and the 3D software doesn't know which face it wants to render, right? So it's like sometimes saying it's the front face, no, the back face, the front face, and there's no understanding. Sometimes you can actually spot it in TV shows and like VFX or like low budget stuff. You can see something flickering in the background. I'm like, ooh, there it is, Z fighting. That's what it's called, Z fighting, or Z fighting if you're not American. So what we want to do is we want to give thickness to our icing. So we can do that with a solidify modifier. So adding another modifier. Make sure you've got your icing selected, not your donut. And then here where you've got add modifier, we're going to go generate, solidify. Okay. Now, it's made it worse. It's actually added a thickness to our mesh there, but it's actually done it the wrong way. So it's with the normals. Yeah, what is it? It's trying to put the extra bit inside the donut. So we can change that by just changing the offset here in the solidifier settings. Just drag that all the way to 1. Some of you might have actually found that it was correct before, just depending on which way your normals were. If that's the case, keep it at -1, but everyone else keep it at 1. We just want to make sure it's actually outside. Okay. Let's just increase the thickness a little bit too. Let's go, 0.025. That looks pretty good. And great, we've got what looks like a yarmulke on our donut. A perfectly straight edge little hat for our donut. So let's make this look more like icing. So the edge is wavy all the way around. So to do this, this is where we get into the fancy, finger magic. Because you're typing lots of keys. Anyway, go into edit mode, and we can see straight away that we can't see the mesh, and that's because the solidify modifier is obstructing our view. So these little boxes here, as I mentioned before, like this is to hide it from viewport, but if you want to just hide it from your edit mode, which is the state that we are in right now, the box next to it is the one that you uncheck, which means in object mode,
we're turning off
mode. When you're tabbed in object mode, you can still see it, but edit mode, it's it's temporarily hidden for you. So if I was to select one of these points here and move it down, you can see that it's working, but it would be, again, a lot of effort to go round and round and do these one by one. So we want to use that old familiar proportional fall-off tool again. So proportional editing on, and now as I move it down, let's just lower the slider way down here, and then let's pull this down. Okay, now we'll find issues. If we move to the side here, we can see the first issue we've discovered is that this is separating from our mesh here. And that's not what icing does. When it dribbles down, it follows the shape of the donut all the way down. So what we want to do is snap, undo it a number of times, snap the vertices to our donut underneath it, right? So for that, we need to turn on snapping up here. Okay, now there are a number of ways to snap in Blender. The default way is increment.
Snapping. Oh boy. Snapping.
Which just means the like the grid floor there. Like if you were to just like move it around, you can see it's just snapping to the grid floor. Not helpful. But we want to snap it to the face. And now with
snap it to the face. Okay. Good.
Face snapping enabled. If we move this down, we can see, let's just look here, that the bottom bit is snapping to the face, but as you might have seen, the top bits, the rest of essentially.
So we take this guy.
What is inside of our circle of influence with this proportional editing, that's not being affected. Only the little point that we had selected was affected. So that's not what we want either. Normally that would be enough, but in this particular case, we want to also snap individual elements too. And let's go face project. Now...
Can I? Okay. This Control Z work? Okay.
Oh, when we pull this down, point that we had selected was
Okay.
affected. So that's not what we want either. Normally that would be enough, but in this particular case, we want to also snap individual elements too. And let's go face project. Now, when we pull this down, you should see
Face. Uh-huh. Project. So,
that these are also no longer clipping through the donut. But still, we have issues. Why is that? Well, it is actually working correctly. We can see these are not going through the mesh. So why does it look like it is? The reason
okay. So, G. G.
for that is that there's actually just not enough information here. So if we go side on, you can see, right, like we've got this point here, and then we've got another point down here, and then we've got this long stretch in between, right? So that means that this part of the donut, oh gosh, that goes that goes around like that, is just not, there's nothing to snap it to, essentially. So what we need to do to fix this is just add more geometry. So these little vertices here, we need more of those vertices. So we can do that by actually using the subdivision surface modifier, because although it is a modifier, you can apply the modifier. And the modifier currently is adding geometry, so let's just apply it. So to apply it, we just click this little drop down here next to the modifier, and then go apply. Now, if we, I mean, nothing should have changed from this view.
Hello?
Because the same information is being displayed. So the modifier currently is adding geometry, so let's just apply it. So to apply it, we just click this little drop down here next to the modifier, and then go apply.
When this is this guy. Okay. Apply. Okay. Okay.
Now,
Stuff's happening.
I mean, nothing should have changed from this view because the same information is being displayed. But in edit mode, you should now see exponentially more faces, because here, when
Edit mode.
there was one face before, you can see there's now a lot more, right? 4x, okay, 4x. Okay, so now if we pull down, we should see it is snapping, and if we go into this mode, you can see that it's.
And if you go G. G. Ew. Object mode. Yeah, I think my donut is just too oddly shaped. Do I just need to... Oh, no. No. This guy. I feel like I just also need to, like, G and just... Oh, no. Oh, no. What is happening? Is my donut too oddly shaped? Oh no. Control Z. Okay. We're gonna G, but we're gonna do it along x-axis? Nope. Y-axis. Wait. Is it? Guys. Y-axis. See, this guy, G. No, what the heck? No. This guy, G, Y-axis. What's happening? No, my donut. I feel like
now conforming to the mesh in a much more snug way, because there's information there for it to use. Now this shading artifact here that we can see, this don't worry about that, we'll fix that in just a moment. But I need to show, because I've shown you like 4 things that we need to enable for this to work. I got to show you one more, because if I pull down and if I scroll up, you'll see something. Okay, if I was to click, we get this horrible problem here. And I've done this tutorial enough, and enough people have hit this issue that I need to call it out specifically, because it seems to be a big point that a lot of people just don't know where to go from. What's happened is if we use a what's it called, the circle of influence for our proportional editing, if that is so high, it's actually high enough to reach the mesh on the other side of the donut, and then because we've got snapping, it's
do I need to make my guy just a little thicker? He would pop. What the heck? Huh? Oh, I think I know where the problem is. I see. So if I put it to 1 and put it to 0.26, that's too thick. 0.1. Yeah, that feels like a little too thick as well. 0.06. Zero 5. Okay, I figured it out. How do I wait? Fuck. Applying the subdivision, snap to face project, snap to face, hiding a modifier. Deleting the bottom. Hiding.
The mesh, and that's because the solidify modifier is obstructing our view. So these little boxes here, as I mentioned before, like this is to hide it from viewport. But if you want to just hide it from your edit mode, which is the state that we are in right now, the box next to it is the one that you uncheck. Which means in object mode, when you're tabbed in object mode, you can still see it, but edit mode, it's it's temporarily hidden for you. So if I was to select one of these points here and move it down, you can see that it's working, but it would be again a lot.
Okay, I see. Okay, let's delete Don't Ice, and we're just gonna you know, duplicate objects. There you go. We're gonna rename it Don't Ice. Then we're gonna go to edit mode. We're gonna go to X-ray mode. We're gonna select the bottom stuff. We're just gonna delete vertices. Okay. Sick. We're gonna add a modifier, generate solidify, right? Levels 1. No. Offset. We're gonna go 1. And thickness. Let's go 0.04. Period. It's nice and thick. And then we're going to delete this so we can see our mesh. But if we go into object mode, we can see it. Sick mode, we're going to get rid of the X-ray thing because that's a little redundant for us. Then we're going to grab thing. And we're going to go G. Doing all kinds of artifacting there. We're going to control Z that actually. Because we want to turn this guy on, the snap tool, instead of increments, which is going to be on automatically, you go to face project. Then you can go up, and then you can go into our G and do here. Go into object mode. You can see it still feels, my frosting still feels a little thick. A little bit stuff going on here. Maybe just a little thicker, just so we don't see that, all that stuff. Okay.
From this view, because the same information is being displayed, but in edit mode, you should now see exponentially more faces. Because here, where there was a one.
Oh right, I forgot to add the faces. Applying the okay. Wait, no, okay, wait. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Okay, so now we're gonna select this guy.
It is actually working correctly. We can see these are not going through the mesh. So why does it look like it is? The reason for that is that there's actually just not enough information here. So if we go side on, you can see, right, like we've got this point here, and then we've got another point down here, and then we've got this long stretch in between, right? So that means that this part of the donut, oh god, it goes neat, and the modifier using this, just add more geometry. So these little vertices here, we need more of those vertices. So we can do that by actually using the subdivision surface modifier. Because although it is a modifier, you can apply the modifier. And the modifier currently is adding geometry, so let's just apply it. So to apply it, we just click this little drop down here next to the modifier, and then go apply. Now, if we, nothing should have changed.
We have to go to object mode, yes. Okay. And you go to object mode, edit mode.
From this view, because the same information is being displayed.
Okay.
Or,
so just to repeat to myself, I'm just going to Control Z that. I'm just going to go here and Control Z that. Okay, so we might be in the edit mode. We go into object mode. Then we go here and we go apply. And then when we go to edit mode, we're going to see all these wonderful, beautiful
snug way, because there's information there for it to use. Now this shading artifact here that we can see, this don't worry about that, we'll fix that in just a moment. But I need to show
and then we're gonna grab this guy.
I've shown you like 4 things that we need to enable for this to work. I gotta show you one more, because if I pull down and if I scroll up, you'll see something. Okay, if I was to click, we get this.
Okay. G. We're just gonna pull down.
Horrible problem here, and I've done this tutorial enough, and enough people have hit this issue that I need to call it out specifically, because it seems to be a big point that a lot of people just don't know where to go from. What's happened is if we use a what's it called, the circle of influence for our proportional editing, if that is so high, it's actually high enough to reach the mesh on the other side of the donut, and then because we've got snapping, it's now projecting that, snapping it to the front, which is creating this like something that's a nightmare to fix. I mean, in fact, it's easy to start from scratch than to try to fix that. So if we want sorry, there's a lot of noise. To fix this, we need to hide the part of the mesh that we don't want to be influenced by our proportional tool, right? So to do that, there is an easy way to do it. We can actually do it very precisely. So if with this middle bit of our donut here, if I just hold down Alt and then do a left click, as I mentioned before, that selects the ring, okay? And we could do that all the way up, but actually there's a little, I don't know if it's an Easter egg. It's kind of a cool tool that not many people know about. Control plus. That will enable the select more tool. And if you use control plus, control minus goes the other way, you can see that it's expanding out. So control plus will just like select the next vertice along a chain, roughly speaking. And you can see we can very quickly select all the parts of the mesh that we don't need. Right? Very cool. By the way, if control plus doesn't work for you because you're on a laptop or something else, select more, less. You can also do it here. Anyways, to hide this part of the mesh, it's H. H for hide. So when you're in this state, it looks as though it's been deleted. It's very... Sometimes you don't know where part of your mesh, and then you forgot that you've got hide turned on. If parts of your mesh are hidden and you want to bring it back, it's Alt-H. So H to hide and then Alt-H to bring it back. Or if you can't remember it for whatever reason, you can also find it. Okay, it's underneath mesh. There we go. Mesh. Reveal hidden or hide selected. Okay, so that's the other way. But you can get my keyboard shortcut. It's in the link. It's free. Just use that and then you won't forget a lot of these handy shortcuts. All right, so now finally, after all that, after 4 different ways and problems to explain, we can now take part of this mesh and drag it down, and it will work correctly. Haha. So now we get to now finally be an artist and go like, what sort of edge or what sort of icing do I want to make this look like? So what I'm doing here, by the way, is I'm hitting G to pull it down, and then I'm just single middle click, and then because my cursor is closest to the Z-axis, it's now snapping it to the Z-axis. So that's why I mentioned before that it's really handy. You don't have to think of the letter and type it in. You just go in the general direction you want to go, and then just tap the middle click of the, which is your scroll wheel, right? Middle click. It's such a weird button that you have to call it out. It's the scroll wheel button, because like no other application seems to use it besides scrolling. But Blender is like, no, we're going to use it for like 90% of the operations. It's going to be middle click. But anyways, as you can see, I'm not paying particularly too much attention to it, but I'm just making a wavy looking shape around it. You might also want to make some bits that go the opposite direction, right? And then maybe pull, so you've got like big shapes as well as medium shapes and some small shapes, big, medium, small. It's the recipe for appealing design, big, medium, and small details. But I digress. By the way, I should mention, if you're stuck, don't feel bad, because there was certainly a lot of finickiness going on with this donut here, and we're definitely in the steep part of that curve at the moment. Do make use of my Discord if you are stuck. I created it literally so that people can get instantaneous help. I don't have any other benefit for it, so it's there so that you can find help. Link is in the description, and there's like donut help chat room where you can post screenshots of your problem, and then people can help each other out. So do make use of that. Now, our shading issue here, this darkened edge, is actually going to fix itself by fixing another issue. So it's a 2 birds, 1 solution kind of problem. This 90-degree edge here for this icing, not ideal. Everybody knows that a real icing would create like a rounded edge there, right? So we can fix that just by adding another subsurf modifier. Because you might remember I mentioned, like, yes, if you've got 3 vertices, it'll create like another vertice here and another vertice here, but it'll also like round it out. It'll pull this one back, so you end up with a rounded corner. So right here in your modify stack, we're going to go add modify, generate subdivision surface. Now, the order of these does matter. Okay, you want your solidify at the top and the subdivision after it. So Blender works top to bottom, and it's important.
Wait a moment. Wait a moment. We are in deep in the donut trenches. Okay. Okay. This is fun. There's something so just like... Let's see how that's looking. Oh yeah, baby. That's a donut, mama. Look at that. She looks delicious and creamy. Okay.
Not ideal. Everybody knows that a real icing would create like a rounded edge there, right? So we can fix that just by adding another subsurf modifier. Because you might remember I mentioned, like, yes, if you've got 3 vertices, it'll create like another vertice here and another vertice here, but it'll also like round it out. It'll pull this one back, so you end up with a rounded corner. So right here in your modify stack, we're going to go add modify, generate subdivision surface. Now, the order of these does matter. Okay, you want your solidify at the top and the subdivision after it. So Blender works top to bottom, and it's important it's in this way because you want the extrusion to happen first, and then in order to round that edge, it has to happen as a secondary step. So solidify on top, subdivision underneath. Now, whilst we're here, and we'll...
Okay.
looking at the close-up, nice little profile of this edge of this icing. Another issue to call out, you can see it's got this this shape that goes around, yes, so far so good, but then it goes up. And it's like, it would be better if it went around and then tucked in and touched the edge, because that would look more like real liquid would. So we can solve that by just changing one of the settings in the Solidify Modify. It's not one of those things that you would figure out or know where it is. It's just over time you learn where some of these settings are. But essentially here, the edge data, so we want to change the edge data to say that before you do the solidify step, add a crease on the inner part right here. If we increase this all the way to 1, it now creates a sharpened edge just on that inner part there.
Okay.
Change the edge data to say that before you do the solidify step.
But where do I go? It's in the solidify area.
In the Solidify Modify. It's not one of those things that you would figure out or know where it is. It's just over time you learn where some of these settings are. But essentially here, the edge data. So we want to change the edge data to say that before you do the solidify step, add a crease on the inner part right here. If we increase this all the way to 1, it now creates a sharpened edge just on that inner part there. So the rest of it is a smoothed edge, but the middle one, there's a crease, so it's making a sharp edge there. And it just gives it just a little bit more realism. Just looks a little bit closer to what you would imagine real icing would do. Okay, now for the cool bit. All right, so if you look at reference of donuts, right, yes, you've got these little wavy bits, but where the icing is really liquidy, it'll often break off from this wave here, and it'll create a trail that goes down underneath the donut, right? It just sort of drips all the way down. Whoops, bumped the microphone. So.
Okay. Okay. So, we just real quickly gonna Control Z this entire thing. So we add modifier, generate subdivision surface, right? How fun. We can make it as, I think 1 is just enough. Render, then we can go here into this guy, which is our solidify edge data crease. Just put that shit up to 1 so that it looks like it's kind of sticking to the guy. Okay.
We can do that, but not the way we were doing it before. If we just took one of these points and then like dragged it all the way down like that, there wouldn't be enough information there, right? You can see you just get this like stretched look and it doesn't look great, okay? So essentially we need to give it more information, and we couldn't just do it by like adding more and more subdivision surfaces. We need to actually like break this shape here and create a new shape that goes down. So we need to extrude. So if I select this vertice and then the one next to it by holding down Shift, I don't think I mentioned it, but yeah, if you want to select 2 things at once, it's Shift, select.
Okay. Edit mode. I think maybe I've got a little too excited about. Just gonna like that. G. Object mode. Okay. Okay.
Anyways, so if we select 2 vertices like that, we want to extrude it downward by hitting E. So when you tap E, it's similar to G in that you're in a placement state now, saying where do you want to place this? So I'm going to move it down to, yeah, like about there where I want the trail to stop, and I'm just going to do click, left click, and it's now placed it there. Now, it's hard to see it, but if I just switch to wireframe, you can see what it's doing. So it's created this breakaway shape here, an entirely new face that's completely separate to what we've got there currently. And what this means is if we go to object mode, you can see it's not just like continuing this form here, it's pulled it down, right? Which is a...
Edit mode, object mode. Okay, let me actually get. Where's the fucking light? Fucking bitch. GY. Oh, is it because... there you go. This way I can fucking see the shape of it. I was like, this is so dim. Okay. Edit mode. Yeah, okay, so... what did you say? R?
Exactly. Well, you can see a new face. Hard to see it, but if I just switch to wireframe, you can see what it's... and I'm just going to do click, left click, and it's want to place this, hitting E. So when you tap E, it's similar to G in that you're in a placement state now, saying where do you want to place this? So I'm going to move it down to, yeah, like about there where I want the trail to stop, and I'm just going to do click, left click, and it's now placed it there. Yeah. Now, it's hard to see it, but if I just switch to wireframe, you can see what it's doing. So it's created this breakaway shape here, an entirely new face that's completely separate to what we've got there currently. And what this means is if we go to object mode, you can see it's not just like continuing this form here, it's pulled it down, right? Which is exactly what we want. And in fact, I wanted to go even further than that. So I'm going to select those two vertices. I'm going to pull it down again, and I'll do it again. And the reason I've done this 1, 2, 3 is that this detail here is important so that it conforms to the shape of the donut. Because if there's not enough, you're going to have that clipping issue that I showed you earlier. So that's pretty good. And now we're going to do it again. Originally, in my earlier versions of the donut, I only did like one of these. But then I noticed that in the render, the final render, it's often the most interesting part of the donut. So now I'm thinking, yeah, just do it all the way around the donut. Just add the bit that looks cool. Add more of that. So here, so wherever there's essentially like a big dip is what I'm looking for. Like where the liquid would sort of build up and then like the surface tension there would be just too much and that would break away. That would go down underneath like that. And we'll do another one here, why not?
Okay. So, we're making our donut drippy. I like my donuts drippy, brah. Not to quote the awful evil man that is Logan, I think is his name. I don't know, man. The Paul brothers escape me. They're just the most bland individuals, so I don't really care. Yeah. This guy right here could go lower. I think E. I'm just gonna make a little bit of a drip here. I don't know. Can I make shift just these three guys? And then we make E. E again. Like that. Just shift 3, 4, and then you E. Just a little bit of a E. Something like that, right? And if I go into my object mode, have fun. Just a little misshapen guy. I like that.
Like that, and down, and down. And that's pretty good. Haha, lovely. So, that concludes, finally, this heavy part of the tutorial. So, if you're ready to watch the next part, hope you're not giving up, you can click there on the screen and I'll see you there. Make sure you hit subscribe.
Okay. Oh boy, it is 4 p.m. How long have we been streaming for? Man, learning about donuts. Sculpting, though. I like the idea of sculpting. It's like a little misshapen guy. Okay. Sorry, just had to listen for a second. How long have we been streaming for? Oh, 2 hours on the dot. Do we want to go just one more part of the tutorial? I feel like we should. I feel like we should do sculpting. And then we're gonna film our donut? Just cause, you know, yeah, we've been on yeah, dude. Let's go. Donut time. Okay. So, we're gonna do one more, I think.
congrats. You didn't give up. You made it to part 4. You clicked on the next part of the video. There's always like less viewers each video as you go down. So you're here. Well done. Thumbs up. As you can tell by the title of this video, we're going to learn about sculpting. But first, I should call out, if you have a problem with your mesh now, those problems can be amplified the further you go along. So it helps to do a technical check now. Make sure you don't have any problems before we move along. So to look for it, go into edit mode. And first of all, by the way, if you can't see that middle part of your mesh, it's because remember we temporarily hid it. So you can bring it back by hitting Alt-H, and that will bring back the rest of the mesh. And then we're looking for issues with the mesh, like right here. So this is a really common problem following this tutorial, because when you're projecting parts of the mesh, if it was like side on to the camera, it will project it that way, and then you can have like overlapping parts of the mesh. So that creates this artifact here, which will be exaggerated when we add more detail to it. So we just want to drag that back. So turn on snapping, and I'll keep proportional turned off, and then I'm just going to move this back over here just to move each of these points back. Another very common problem is you might have parts that have separated from your mesh. Now you can quickly fix this if you just like selected the point and then hit G to move it. When you're in that state, it's also snapping it to the mesh. Now you could do that all the way along, like select, tap G, then click, select, tap G, then click. But that's, anybody's got time for that. Let's make Blender do the work for us. So there's a tool that's just designed for this, and it's called the Shrink Wrap Modifier. So over to our trusty modifier stack, we're going to add yet another modifier. So add modifier. It's not under generate, it's under deform, which we haven't accessed before. New modifiers. Ooh, the one we're looking for is Shrink Wrap. And first of all, hasn't done anything because it needs to know what the target is. What is the mesh that we're shrink wrapping our mesh to? So with this little eyedropper tool, you can see when you've clicked it, my cursor's changed to an eyedropper. And now if I hover over objects, I got the name of it. So I want to click on the object that we're shrink wrapping our mesh to. So with this little eyedropper tool, you can see when you've clicked it, my cursor's changed to an eyedropper. And now if I hover over objects, I got the name of it. So I want to click on the object that is the donut, and now it's snapped to the donut and made it worse. Why, Andrew, would you make us do that? Remember, the wrapping our mesh to. So with this little eyedropper tool, you can see when you've clicked it, my cursor's changed to an eyedropper. And now if I hover over objects, I got the name of it. So I want to click on the object that is the donut, and now it's snapped to the donut and made it worse. Why, Andrew, would you make us do that? Remember, the order of your modifier stack matters. So the reason this happened is because we've done it after the solidify mod. So if it works top to bottom, we want the shrink wrap to happen before any of the extrusion happens. So now that it's there, it's correct. And this is what it looks like before, and this is after. And it's subtle, right? And you'll probably see this across your mesh, like little subtle changes where maybe it just separated off the mesh, which wasn't quite a perfect alignment, but this will just correct that. So great, we don't need this here now. We can just apply it because it was just the mesh. It was subtle, right? And your extrusion happens. So now, because we've done it after the solidify mod, so if it works top to bottom, we want the shrink wrap to happen before any of the extrusion happens. So now that it's there, it's correct. And this
okay, so top to bottom. I didn't really need that with my donut, but it's good to know that you can do that. Oh, it's a little bit on the okay, that's nice.
This is what it looks like before, and this is after. And it's subtle, right? And you'll probably see this across your mesh, like little subtle changes where maybe it just separated off the mesh, which wasn't quite a perfect alignment, but this will just correct that. So great, we don't need this here now. We can just apply it because it was just a once-off operation, and now all our mesh should be perfectly flat. And assuming you haven't got any other issues going on, again, make sure you use my Discord. If you do have issues and you need someone to help, make use of the community. So use that and post your problem, and I'm sure people can help out. All right, so we want to do some sculpting. Now, why do we want to sculpt? Well, because if you look at reference photos of donuts with icing on them, you'll see that icing is obviously a liquid, and liquid does weird things. One of the weird things that it does is that it will pool in certain areas. It's not like a uniform amount all the way on it. So the most obvious being like at the end of this trail here, there would be more that would accumulate at the end there. And I think the reason for it is that because it's a viscous fluid, once it runs out of enough fluid, there's not enough to kind of push it forward, but there's enough for it to build up. So you would have like a build up here on each of these ends, but you would also have build-ups all along the edge. And you can see it in reference photos. Like here we've got this like clear, was it like a glaze? And basically
I want to thicken my girl. I want my donut to be thicker. There you go. There you go. It was a little thin for my taste. That pretty even. It needs to, because we want it to be smooth. Smooth donut.
the areas there where it looks whiter, that's a thickened area. So we essentially want to replicate that across our donut. So we can't do that currently.
You gotta thicken up.
Mode,
you know, she gotta be thick. You know she gotta be thick. Oh, I like her thick.
have any mesh to work with because the extrusion, the thickened part, is happening via this modifier. So we need to make the modifier real. So again, we're just going to apply it. Drop down, apply. Now in edit mode, we have that part of the mesh to work with. So we could, if you wanted to, come in here and like select the points that you want to add, you know, a bulge to, and then very carefully come in and tap. So we can't do that currently. Like if you go into edit mode, we don't have any mesh to work with because the extrusion, the thickened part, is happening via this modifier. So we need to make the modifier real. So again, we're just going to apply it. Drop down, apply. Now in edit mode, we have that part of the mesh to work with. So we could, if you wanted to, come in here and like select the points that you want to add, you know, a bulge to, and then very carefully come in and tap G, and then, oh, I got snapping turned on, turn that off. Pull this out, right? And go like that and go, yep, there's a little bulge there. But that's very tedious to first select a point, then tap a key to move it. It's very tedious. So that's really like you just need to use another tool to do the job. So edit mode is one tool, and it's good for like very precise things when you need to get precise things. But for more like organic shapes, more freehand stuff, that's where sculpting comes in. So at the top here, we've just been flipping between object and edit mode, but the one underneath it is sculpt mode. So when we go into that mode, you'll see that we have on the left-hand side all of these tools that appear. Ooh. And I mean, this isn't a sculpting like tutorial, really. We're just really going to scratch the surface. But they do different things, different sculpting things. Like, let's just use the default tool here. Can't really see much happening. Let's just turn up the strength and the size of it. Like, it just pulls out that part of it. And even that quick little one stroke, imagine if you had to select each of those points and pull them out one by one. Like, that's why this tool is the appropriate tool for this kind of job, right? Because it very quickly can enable us to add lots of complex shape. Very cool. So, the tool that we're looking for is actually, it's this one, the inflate brush, which is just conveniently the I hotkey, inflate. By the way, if you want to change the size...
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so my thing is is slightly different. Okay. It's a little different. I think it's because this is version 5. Smooth, trim, boundary, so I can make it. Or we can just hack up the strength. Yeah, so interesting though. Like it's inflate. Well,
of brushes in Blender. I mean, you've got these ones here. You've also got the strength slider here. But there is a hotkey just to change the size of the brush with F. So F to change the size of the brush, and you just pull out with your cursor to make it bigger, and then pull in to reduce it, and then do a single left click to confirm. You can also change the strength with Shift F. So Shift F, pull out, click, and then Shift F, pull in, click. Anyways, so if I was to draw on this, you can see that I'm inflating that edge. I can also inflate here. But you very quickly realize, like, look at that. Look at that. What is that, right? The eye is going to see that. As a pro tip, your eye is, like, if you're going low res, don't go low res for things that are round, because your eye is very quickly going to spot low poly things. Actually, just last night I was playing Spider-Man, the Miles Morales one, and there was like this coffee cup that was on a table, and then you walk, and it looks fine, like as a background asset, but then part of it, the mission, you had to go up and read something on the table, and you had to get close to this coffee cup, and it was like 8 vertices. It just looked like it looked like a nut on a wheel of a car, right? Just like that jagged. So, anyways, what I'm saying is this is a rounded form, so we need more information, we need more detail to sculpt on. The reason this is jagged, and the reason there's not enough detail here, is that just even though we have a subsurf modifier, a subdivision modifier, it's applying it after we do the sculpt mode. So when you're in sculpt mode, it's still just using your raw mesh here, and then it does this as a secondary step. So if we want to sculpt into this detail, we need to apply this. So I'm going to use more than one. I'm going to use 2 because I want to have even more detail. So importantly, by the way, if you're applying a subdivision modifier, even though you've got 2 levels here, it will always use just the viewport. So your render amount here could be whatever, but when you hit apply, it's just going to apply whatever is in the viewport. So I'm going to go 2 levels and hit apply. Now. Look at this. Ooh. We have 16 times the detail because we had level 1, which would be 4x, a 4x multiply, and then 4x of 4x, 16. So we have 16 times the vertices to play with. So now when we go into sculpt mode, look at it now. When we sculpt, look at that. So much more room to work with and much more fun. So now that I'm in that state, I'm going to just do little circles. circles with this brush on each.
Okay, so here's my thing. And what is it easier to do this with a Because I have a drawing tablet, which is what I've been doing this on the entire time. FYI, like the camera that I've been. I feel like I'm gonna Control Z. Bring back our modifier Diva. I feel like I want to make it bigger, just for me. And we're gonna go back into object mode, and we're gonna apply it. Edit mode. She is fully going. Okay. Sculpt. So if I just make it bulbous. Eee. That's a bulb, mama. I just feel like, okay, so we're gonna make the size smaller. And as usually, like when you look at liquids, they kind of pull up in like a that kind of shape more than anything. Maybe that's it's a little too strong, so we're gonna decrease the strength. Something that's a little more. It has like a weird like. Right? Are we seeing the vision? How many faces does he have? Let me just double check. Do I have way more faces than he does? Maybe. Let me just. Maybe I need to Control Z. Modify. He said 2, right?
And then 4x.
Oh, wait.
4x, 16. So we have 16 times the vertices to play with. So now when we go into sculpt mode, look at it now. And 4x tail. Now, you're rendering, importantly, by the way, if you're applying a subdivision modifier, even though you've got 2 levels here, it will always use just the viewport. So your render amount here could be whatever, but when you hit apply, it's just going to apply whatever is in the viewport. So I'm going to go 2 levels and hit apply. Now, look at this. Whoo.
2 levels, apply. Okay. Mode.
We have 16 times the detail because we had level 1, which would be 4x, a 4x multiply, and then 4x of 4x, 16. So we have 16 times the vertices to play with. So now when we go into sculpt mode, look at it now. When we sculpt, look at that. So much more room.
Okay, sculpt mode. Size, I guess. We're gonna try to follow his tutorials a little more closely, maybe, because maybe I'm. What's the strength? Try something.
Room to work with and much more fun. So now that I'm in that state, I'm going to just do little circles with this brush on each of these points here.
So we're just gonna bulb up these guys. Okay. It's a little more cartoony, don't it? But you know, just gonna bulb up this guy as well. Maybe it's a little. Maybe it's a little big. Definitely bulb up this fella. Yeah. I feel like this guy needs to be bulbed up. Do maybe this guy as well right here. And usually places like that have a little more gooage going on. Just a little right here. Okay, maybe just touch of gooing up right there. Right, and now we have a funkily shaped little donut. Yeah, okay.
And the reason I'm doing like little circles like this is that by default the stroke state is, what is it, space. You can switch it to airbrush if you want, and then you can just click and hold it there, but I find that to actually be like harder to control. So I just keep it in space mode, and then just do like little circles, and then that enables you to just kind of continue adding more pressure as you move your mouse. So a little circle, like that. And there you go. Very quickly, already we have a more interesting looking shape across it. So another brush, another tool, I guess you call it. Is it a brush? Or I think it's technically called brushes. But anyways, another one that you use all the time is grab, and conveniently it's the hotkey G. And what this does is just like pushing clay with your finger. It's like, it's really
okay. Grab, blob. Can we make blobs? Ew, that's cool. Could I kind of want to sculpt an eyeball on my donut. Oh. That looks like a nipple. That looks like a nipple. Make it nice and bulbous. Okay. Okay, that looks insane. Okay, which one was it? It was grab? Layer, fill, deepen, flatten, contrast, plateau, scrape.
cool. And the reason I'm touching clay with your finger, it's like, it's really.
Okay.
And the reason, but anyways, another one that you use all the time is grab, and conveniently it's the hotkey G. And what this does is just like pushing clay with your finger. It's like, it's really cool. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm actually just exaggerating the design, because that is what makes appealing design. It's exaggerating.
Okay, I see. So you're just gonna. Okay. Okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down, Diva. We're just gonna make it... Just gonna make it size slightly bigger. Just put a little, no? My brain immediately went into Photoshop mode where you just I don't want that. Smaller the size. I'm just gonna okay. It was just a little too square for my taste. So I needed to be just pulled down a little bit. Yeah. There you go. Make a bigger form. There you go. My sweet rotund boy. What happened to the... How's the mesh looking? Oh, wow. The mesh is meshing. Okay. Continuing.
The addition and subtraction that you see in a shape, even though in real world you might not see this like tapered thing like that, because it's got this bulbous end, you want to draw more attention to that kind of globule at the end there. And to do that, yeah, if you just make this a little bit tapered using this tool, it can do that. And we get to learn about a new tool later, which is the point of the tutorial.
So, when the fuck did 40 minutes pass?
What?
Just guys, guys, how long have we been here? Guys, it's been 24 years, guys. What the fuck? Oh my god.
Drag.
Jesus Christ.
Change the shape, size of the brush with F, and you've got more time than me, so maybe make this better than what I'm doing really quickly, but just get, generally a shape like that, and it should look a little nicer. Okay, so now let's do that raised edge all the way around the rim of this. Now, in previous versions of this tutorial, I said just use the inflate brush and then just like draw across it. The problem with this is that this is so imprecise, and you can accidentally like draw over another bit, and then you look at it side on, and you get these like noticeable like divots across the donut, and it's not very. It's very hard to do because you keep like accidentally clicking off it and then on it, and you get this like jagged like dig 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 dig. It's not very appealing. The point is, so let's go back. We can learn about another tool. It's another excuse to learn about another tool, and that tool is called the mask tool. So it's actually in the list here, but I never remember what it is. It's just hit M for mask, and it's this one. And what this enables you to do is, if you just draw on it, you get this grade shape, right? And then when you're using another tool, like say you switch to the inflate brush now, and if you draw over this, let me just increase this. Yeah, if you drew over this, you can see it's applying an inflation to everything except the area that is dark. And that's how you can create like, you know, a skin lesion on a zombie or something like that. So a mask is very useful in sculpting, used a lot. And we're going to use it in just this case. What we're going to do is mask out just this area along the rim there, and then we're going to apply a constant inflate value to just the area that we've masked. So first use the mask tool. Mask. And it doesn't really make sense to use like a half opaque mask. So we're going to set the strength all the way to 1. And then I'll use a brush size about here. So essentially, where do I want the inflation? Like, do I want this much inflation on the rim? No, probably something about here. And then I'm just going to paint a darkened.
Interesting. So
value all the way across it. I just want to make sure that it's, you know, fairly even. It doesn't have to be completely perfect, but fairly even across it. And I obviously don't want it to be in this part because that, you know, the liquid has flowed all the way down and it's broken the trail and it's gone down there. So I don't want any.
okay. Okay. I didn't even know they had the ability to mask shit. That's changing everything. Basically, it's just drawing on the shape that you've created. That's cool. That's just really cool. Okay. Okay.
Raised area there. And again, I apologize if this looks like tedious, but it's a way to learn Blender piece by piece. Okay. Hey, speaking of which, I forgot. With the sculpt tools in Blender, for whatever reason, it has assumed by default that you might want to sculpt on the other side of your mesh. So you can see I've got this smear here, and that's because somewhere I was painting over here, I went through the mesh and it painted on the other side of the mesh over there. Very annoying. So I can undo it. It's just easier than like repainting that whole thing. And what you want to do with your mask tool is underneath brush, set it to front faces only. And that means when you paint, it should mean that as you draw, it could still happen, just be careful, but it should happen less. It shouldn't happen like on the opposite side of the same mesh. Anyways, it should happen less. By the way, I didn't call it out because it's not essential, but if you do ever want to isolate and only see the selected object, / is the isolation mode. So / on the number pad or the actual normal keyboard will pull you in on Anyway, so now with the mask brush, with front faces only enabled, I can paint along it, and it should happen less, essentially. All right, I don't know what to say, but this doesn't take long once you've set it up. And assuming you've got the strength of 1, by the way, you don't want to have areas with like half opaque, right? Because we want to have a constant value across it as we inflate it. And we should get a nice raised edge that goes all the way along the donut. Okay, great. Just clean it up if you've got any areas that look a little untidy, a little unkempt. Yep, awesome. All right. So, as I mentioned, the mask will actually mask out the area, so you can't paint on it. We obviously want to only paint on the area that we mask, so we want to invert it by just hitting Control.
I just kind of want to... Okay. You know what? From this, I thought it'd be way, like, kind of less intuitive than what it is, but we're working with it right now. Like, I genuinely was scared it would be unintuitive, but actually, there is there is a logic, and now that I'm kind of realizing the logic of the program, I'm like, okay, I see the vision. It's much more intuitive than I thought it would be. Okay. Once, yeah. Donut. Okay. Okay.
Control I, same hotkey as Photoshop, etc. And then, obviously, if we went to invert it by just hitting Control out the area, so you can't paint on it. We obviously want to only paint on the area that we mask, so we want to invert it by just hitting Control I, same hotkey as Photoshop, etc.
Control
And then, obviously, if we went to the
I.
inflate brush and then we just painted, like yes, we're only now painting onto that area, but it also doesn't solve our problem of like different values across it. So we want to apply a uniform inflation on just these areas. So there is a tool in the Sculpt tools called, where is it? Mesh Filter. So I will be honest, it's probably the laziest implementation of a tool.
Mesh. Mm-hmm.
Like, mesh filters are not really well documented. You kind of have to just learn how they work. But unlike all these other brushes here, the way this one works is it's applying a uniform value to the entire mesh. So it doesn't actually matter where you click on the mesh, it's going to apply it. And it's applying what is in the filter types listed here. So if I just click, this is the other thing I have to learn. If I drag to the right, I'm inflating. If I drag to the left, I'm deflating, and so subtracting the opposite direction. You just kind of have to learn that that's how this specific tool works. My theory is, by the way, to go on a rant, ZBrush's user experience and interface is so arcane, so badly hodgepodge together from ideas over the last 2 decades. They never had any thought in the process. They just lumped it all in there. And Blender's sculpting tools competes with that. So they're like, hey, yeah, the filter tools, yeah, they're not the easiest to understand, but at least we're not ZBrush. That's my theory. It's my working theory I'm going with. But anyways, point is now that we're in this, you can see we're applying a uniform value to everything. Hooray for us. I might also, I'm going to set the strength of this to 0.1, and that just means that as I move the cursor, it's applying less of a value for the movement, so I can use smaller movements. The other thing, though, is this is a little, like, it almost looks, if we go into object mode, it looks like a tube almost around the edge of it. It's not very nice. Basically, the edge that we've got here is too hard, so we can smooth out that edge by using mask, smooth, mask. Okay, now, if we use the inflate, just tilts to the right a little bit, I'm just going to go with that. Let's go object mode and see how that looks. That's pretty good. I might actually go just a little bit more, just exaggerate it slightly more. There we go. That, I'm smooth, mask. Okay, now, what we've got here is too hard, so we can smooth out that edge by using mask, smooth, mask. Okay, now, if we use
Smooth mask.
the inflate, just tilts to the right a little bit, I'm just going to go with
Okay, wait. Control Z. So it's Control I. Mask. Smooth mask. We're just gonna just fully. Okay.
that. Let's go object mode and see how that looks. That's pretty good. I might actually go just a little bit more, just exaggerate it slightly more. There we go. Great. So, yeah, that's roughly it. Now, there's a little bit of artifact in there because the way the mask works is it's kind of that feathering thing. It's not very exact, and it's kind of got some values in between it. So we...
Okay. Okay. Object mode. Sure. Just a little more. feels a little much for me. Yeah, you know. I think that's fine. There's a little bit of a little lip, and that's fine. I don't think it needs... Maybe part of the reason why mine looks a little more crazy is because I've already, like... I think just this much is good for me.
You can smooth that out in sculpt mode by first of all just clearing the mask and then using the smooth tool. By default, it's too high, so just turn it down. And I'm just going to smooth that edge, and that'll just sort of clear up some of this artifacting. It's a little too...
Okay, so... It's just too much for me. So we're just gonna... Just a little bit.
Too high. For whatever reason, the smooth tool, which also you can access at any point when you're in this, can smooth that out in sculpt mode by first of all just clearing the mask and then using the smooth tool.
Okay. Okay. Mask, clear mask, and then smooth chill. Okay.
By default, it's too high, so just turn it down. And I'm just going to smooth that edge, and that'll just sort of clear up some of this artifacting. It's a little too high. For whatever reason, the smooth tool, which also you can access at any point when you're in sculpt mode just by holding down shift, and it'll temporarily invoke the smooth tool, and it'll use the value that is on the smooth tool. So you'll be in this mode, and then you hold down shift, and it'll actually not use this value, but the value that's on the smooth tool. Again, ZBrush is the competitor, so some things are a little weird here. Anyways, so it's a little too high. Just turn it down, and now I've got a nice value. And I'm just smoothing this.
Okay, so we're just smoothing these out just a little bit. So it has like a fun little having a bit. It's just that I was worried that he was gonna make us keep the, because I didn't like that it was too clearly like visible. You know?
This out. Just clear up some of the artifacting. All the way around the mesh. Boop, boop, boop. And that's it. Lovely. Hey, if you've made it this far, 3D is in the cards. It's for you. Because we've done some fairly complex things. So if you're a beginner and you're just getting started in Blender, congrats. Because it is a steep learning curve.
Yay, we have done things to our donut. Let's add I know that's not necessarily a part of what our friend is here teaching us, but particles, physics, modifiers, object, line art. Strange, okay, collection. Material, new material. There you go. Purple donut. Why is our donut? Oh. There you go. Yeah. I know that's not an actual texture of a donut, but you know, new material, base color, purple, yay! Okay. Yeah, you got more donuts. The Donut Chronicles are continuing. Okay. I kind of want to... Okay. So we are, what? An animation rendering. Do I want to animation? But definitely want to do compositing. But yeah, I think we're gonna stop this right here for now, because I don't think I have it in me to continue my donut-based adventures. But I think it'd be cool, like, for now, like, what I'm picking up and learning stuff from here, I think it'd be cool, because we can try, after we finish this kind of tutorial stuff from this guy, I think I'd really be interested in trying to sculpt my little demon guy. I think that'd be really, really fun. But I'm like, how do you make that it's a complex shape. But we can do something with it. Yeah, for sure. But for now, I'm gonna say goodbye to you guys because I'm so tired and I'm really hungry. Those testosterone hungies are hitting my sweet boy body. So I'm gonna say bye-bye, and I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Okay? Probably next week.